Thank you. Yes, this is your life, and tonight I'm hoping to deliver a knockout surprise to one of the nation's greatest heroes. In a few minutes, he's going to come along this way. He thinks he's going to an awards ceremony. In fact, this is the award that he'll be receiving. We have to hide the evidence, of course. Don't want him to see anything, so we've got to get rid, in a way, of the This Is Your Life set. We'll do that first of all, okay? Tabs away. Right, there now remains the problem of what to do with our studio audience. Before we make you disappear, I must tell you, of course, that you have to be absolutely quiet when you're hidden, because if our man gets a clue, then we're absolutely lost. Once you see him, of course, you can go absolutely wild, and I can assure you that his is a face that rings bells. Right, I shall be behind this curtain, you'll be behind this one, so once again, tabs away.
It's only got to go through this.
I'm sure the audience would like to see that as well. Oh, I didn't tell you about those, did I? People you know.
Excuse me. How do you do?
Yes.
I think you'll agree we boxed a bit clever tonight to say that Barry McGuigan, hero of Ireland, this is your life.
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
going to read it now. Can we get you?
Oh, absolutely. Completely.
Well, we've got a ringside seat here.
Oh, wow.
Take that one over here.
You got me, absolutely.
That frightened me. That was so wild, wasn't it? Ah, right. Well, we'll begin at the beginning then. Have you got your breath back?
No, I haven't even started yet. Wow.
You're looking very good, I must say. I must ask you about this. This is your life, Barry, and the latest episode was your dramatic victory over Julio Miranda. Now, let's see.
He's running out of time in the round. Oh, yes. And if it goes down, and ignore the bell if it goes and continue counting. The gun shield goes flying out. It's going to be stopped, I think. Any second, somebody's thrown something in the ring there. It looks like the Argentinian's thrown a towel in. And it's all over in the 8th round.
Wow. Well, that was powerful stuff, Barry, but it was victory at a price. What's the latest bulletin on the injuries?
Well, they're only superficial, and as Jimmy said last night, if you take away the blood, it was a very satisfactory performance. So we're still on the road to hopefully a world title fight.
Blood doesn't count, I know.
Not really. The worst thing was the hand is a bit sore. It looked a bit of a rocky showdown with the blood, guts, and thunder. But thankfully I came out on top.
Yes, we noticed that. Now, here in your corner with you as usual, Barry, your cuts man, Ernie Fossey, your chief trainer, Jimmy Tibbs, your personal manager, Tony Clark, the man who promoted all your comeback contests, Frank Warren, and, of course, ITV's voice of boxing, the man who helped us catch you with your defences down, Reg Gutteridge. Thank you very much. Now, Reg, you've seen every world champion over the past, 40 years. How does Barry rate?
Well, he's obviously a great one. I mean, we know that, don't we? And I think the public know that because he did something that Muhammad Ali couldn't do. He drew the #1 audience of the week. And that's never been done by any boxer here before. And with him, it's not just a fight, it's an occasion.
Well said. And Frank Warren, you're planning the biggest occasion of all for Barry, I believe.
Yes, we've got to sit down over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully in around March or April, he'll be in there winning the world title again.
Right, well, Barry, that victory over Miranda has taken you to within punching distance of regaining your world championship status, and here to wish you luck in your quest are British boxers who've also proved themselves the best in the world. They are champions John Conte, Alan Minter, John H. Bracey, And your good friends, world title contender Dave McCauley, and the former golden boy of heavyweight boxing, Billy Walker. Well, you shook hands with that lot, the hand must be all right. And here now is the girl who took you on and won years ago.
We had one of the longest engagements in history, but it was well worth the wait.
Just 4 weeks ago, she gave birth to your fourth child. It is, of course, your wife, Sandra. Sandra, tell us about this long engagement.
Well, when we were about 8 years old, we used to play getting married down in the garden because there was a path and a swing for the altar. And Barry found a very nice gold ring and he gave it to me. And we got married, but he was quite angry and almost broke it off because I gave the ring to my mum because it was far too big for me. It was a proper wedding ring.
Well, you talked about it first when you were 8 or 9, and then you impetuous kids rushed into it just 11 years later. You were married on December the 14th, 1981, and here are 4 very special people who have since completed your happy family. 5-year-old Blaine there, 2.5-year-old Danica, 18-month-old Jake, and here, making his television debut, the latest of the McGuigan clan, 4-week-old Shane.
You're always champion, Daddy, and I love you.
Well, thank you, kids. That's lovely. Well, Finbar Patrick McGuigan, this is your life. And you were born in Clones on February the 28th, 1961. You're hooked on boxing from your early schoolboy days, and you box regularly on local amateur shows. One evening, your opponent doesn't show up, and the boy who stands in as a substitute is, relatively speaking, quite a handful.
And what a fight that was.
Yes, your elder brother Dermot, and with him, your mother Kate, your younger brother Daniel, good family friend Fred Foe, Sandra's parents and sister Jim, Joan and Linda Mealiff, your brothers-in-law Sammy, David and Ross Mealiff, and Gary Audley, your Uncle Dennis and Aunt Mary McGuigan, and your Aunt Maureen Lafferty. Must be very quiet in Ireland tonight, I would think. Now, Dermot, what was that about fighting each other?
Yes, Michael, we both went to a local boxing tournament one particular night, and neither of our opponents turned up, so needless to say, we decided among ourselves that we'd box each other to get trophies, needless to say. That was a big one. And we boxed each other, and then we arrived back home with identical trophies. And then my mother found out we boxed each other, and she nearly done a lid.
Gave you both a clip round the ear, I suppose.
Very much.
I must say you're in better voice than you were earlier after screaming at the fight. Now, Kate, you had a very early indication of Barry's extraordinary strength and energy, which earned him that nickname of the Clones Cyclone.
Yes, when he was a baby, he was overactive, they call it now, but he was hyperactive, and we couldn't keep him in his cot, his ordinary cot. So eventually we had to end up putting a top on the cot in order to make sure that he'd be there in the morning when we came down.
And he showed some nifty footwork as well.
Oh, indeed, yes. He had to go into the Children's Hospital in Monaghan at one time, and I was just a little bit wary about it. I sensed there was something wrong. And when I come home, there was a phone call waiting for me to say that he had got out of the hospital. He'd run, and a lot of the people running after him. I didn't know what to do. I says, right, I went into the car, we'll go. But luckily enough, the phone rang to tell me that he'd been found in the grounds of the hospital.
Hospital food was that bad, was it, Barry?
No, I didn't like being caged in, so I had to get out.
You work in a very small ring, Sonny, isn't it? Now, we're going to take you on a trip down memory lane, in fact, to a street that you will find familiar, Barry, I think. It is, of course, the main street of Clones, the small border town where you were born and where you threw your first punches. And here is the grocery shop you lived over and your mother runs to this day. And who is this peeping round the corner?
Hiya, Barry, look who's with me. Hiya, Barry, look who's with us. Hiya, Barry, look who's with us. Hiya, Barry, look who's with us. Hiya, Barry, we're your 5 ever-loving sisters. Remember when you used to torment us and terrify my mother when you were a young boy? This is the lamppost you used to climb up and look for miles and miles. And do you remember you used to frighten everybody, especially when you went right to the top? People used to come rushing into the shop and say, Mrs. McGuigan, Barry's up the pole again.
Well, you are not poles apart tonight. They have come here post-haste across the Irish Sea to be with you. Your sisters, Sharon, Laura, Rachel,
We got there, but
Rebecca, and Catherine. Thank you, girls. We loved that film. Now, one of your earliest contests, Barry, will not be found in any record book, and Laura, you can confirm it was a pretty spectacular fight.
Well, it was actually more of a wrestling match than a boxing match, and his opponent happened to turn out to be female.
And Sharon, I believe she made something of a chump of Barry.
No, more of a chimp. We went to Dublin Zoo for a visit, and we were watching the chimps' tea party, and Barry decided to join in, and one of the chimps took exception to this and started to wrestle with him, and eventually the zookeeper had to come along and rescue the chimp.
Must have thought you were after her little perforations. Anyway, after juvenile boxing experience at the Wattlebridge Boxing Club, you established yourself as an exceptional amateur at the Smithborough Boxing Club, and that's where we're going now to meet some of your old friends and some of your new fans. This is the Smithborough Boxing Club where you first started taking boxing seriously. There's Frank Mulligan, one of your first trainers. That's Danny McEntee, who helped you in those early days. This is Jimmy Coughlin. You won your first ever title against him at the age of 12. And alongside him, Martin Brereton, against whom you won the All-Ireland title in one of your most memorable amateur contests.
Hi Barry, these are the boys who are dreaming of becoming the Barry McGuigans of tomorrow.
But they'll have to show tremendous dedication to match your achievements.
Hello, Barry. Just a few of your friends dropped in from Smithborough. And we've got a message for you, and it goes like this.
Here he goes, here he goes, here he goes. It's a great cyclone from Clones. Here he goes, here he goes, here he goes. Barry's back with the winning blow.
And here they are from Clones, your amateur trainer for 6.5 years, Frank Mulligan. Your early mentor, Danny McEntee. The man you beat for the All-Ireland title, Martin Brereton. And the opponent you conquered for your first title, the Shamrock Belt, back in '75, Jimmy Coughlin. Jimmy. That's it. You were looking around the corner for a few more there, I think.
thought you had all the Smithborough with you.
Now, from those early days in boxing with the Smithborough Club, you progressed to international fame as an amateur, and the highlight of your career in the Green Vest of Ireland comes when, at the age of 17, you win a gold medal as a bantamweight in the Commonwealth Games in Edmonton in 1978. You're the baby of the team, and the sight of you crying your eyes out on the victory rostrum captures the heart of everybody watching on television in Ireland. One viewer in particular is so impressed that he makes a bold prediction.
You were such a cracker, McGuigan. I said, one day, that boy will be champion of the world.
That's one of the best punchlines he's ever delivered. Frank Carson.
Lovely. Good.
Now, Frank, you've followed Barry's career closely since that golden
very
time.
closely. But the one thing I must tell the audience, which is apart from boxing, you see, when McGuigan came to the Frank Carson Golf Classic, we thought we'd do some pictures of Barry hitting a golf ball. Now, his brother's a good golfer. He's bloody awful. So he thought, we'll have a shot of you hitting the golf ball and he hits this ball, it's into the car park, and there's this crash of glass. And this fellow who was doing the thing said, "That's okay, I'll fix that, Frank." I said, "What happened?" He says, "He's just broken a windscreen of a car." Oh, I said, "Whose car?" He says, "Yours." But this man has always lived up to one prediction, and that's the great quotation of John F. Kennedy, "Ask not what can my country do for me, what can I do for my country?" And he's done more for his country than anybody I know. It's a great privilege to be here on the show tonight.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you very much. Well, Barry, you turned professional in 1981 under the guidance of manager Barney Eastwood. During the good times with Barney, you rapidly climbed the peaks of boxing, reaching the summit on a never-to-be-forgotten night at the Queen's Park Rangers football ground in London on June the 8th, 1985, when you grabbed the headlines by winning the featherweight championship of the world with a magnificent points victory over the pride of Panama, Eusebio Pedrosa. You go home to Ireland to a tumultuous welcome after what's rated one of the finest performances ever given in a world championship ring by a British boxer. Now, it's a victory that comes as no surprise to a man who'd long ago noted your skill in the ring. And we're now going to New York to hear from one of boxing's all-time greats, a friend as well as a fan, former world heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson.
Hello, Barry. I'd first like to say how sorry I am for not being able to join you on this memorable occasion. When I first met you at your home in Ireland, I knew there was something different about you, and now I know what it is. You are a very special person. You are not only a champion inside the ring, but you're a champion outside the ring as well. I'm hoping our paths will cross again in the very near future, and I thank you for being just as you are.
Now, the McGuigan family story is that you inherited your great strength and those powerful hands from your late grandfather, James McGuigan, whose feats of strength when working on the railways in Clones made him a legendary figure. But there is another sportsman from Ireland who could challenge you for the title of the most famous and biggest hands in British sport.
I think I've got to hand it to you, Bart.
Yes, with 119 international caps, and the first one still fits, former Arsenal, Tottenham and Northern Ireland goalkeeping hero, Pat Jennings.
Well done, outside. Brilliant. Well done.
Stay there, Barry, no. Just, Pat, to end all the arguments, just let's measure your hand alongside Barry's. Put them together there.
As long as he doesn't start throwing punches here, we're all right.
There.
Well, there's just a fingertip in it, but I won't declare a winner in case you shake me warmly by the throat. Thank you. And a huge hand for Pat Jennings.
Thank you.
Well, you've had your ups and downs, Barry, and you couldn't have been more down than in Las Vegas on a boiling hot day in June 1986, when suffering from dehydration and a heat of 129 degrees Fahrenheit, you lose your treasured world title on points to Steve Cruz of Texas. For more than 18 months, during a traumatic breakup with Barney Eastwood, you agonize as to whether to continue your ring career. You fill your time with a range of different activities, including television chat show host and recording star.
I get so very lonely nights, lonely nights, just dreaming about the loving you never showed me. The nights, I feel my heart is breaking again. Lonely night, because I want somebody to call my girl, somebody I can call.
No need to look so embarrassed. We enjoyed that. Now, with your singing, Barry, you were trying to follow in a family tradition that I know you cherish. Your late father, Pat, was a popular singer who came third in the 1968 Eurovision Song Contest, the year that Cliff Richard finished second. Your father was your proudest and most devoted fan, and when he died in 1987, much of your appetite for boxing died with him. Your father was an important influence, wasn't he? Well, during your indecision about your future in boxing, you put your foot down and you switch to a new sport, motor racing, and you immediately make an impact. You overturn your car in your debut at Silverstone. You walked away from that with just minor bruising. But Sandra, I mean, did it switch off Barry's ambition to become a racing driver?
No, unfortunately it didn't. It curtailed him a little bit, but I don't know, he's got this thing for really, really dangerous things to do. And once one goes, he just picks another. And
well, the call of the ring was certainly too great for you, Barry. In April of this year, you start to climb the mountain again. And following your latest victory, you're nearly back to the top at that peak you reached in London on that memorable summer evening in June '85. A capacity crowd plus a record 19 million viewers saw you rip the World Championship away from one of the all-time great featherweight champions. And you're visited in your dressing room after the fight by another world champion from Ireland, somebody who just 6 weeks earlier had battled his way to the top.
But thank goodness my opponent didn't try to hit me back.
Yes, on cue as usual, another sportsman who always presents a great spectacle, former world snooker champion Dennis Taylor. Well, Dennis, you were there, weren't you, the night that Barry beat Pedrosa?
Well, Michael, I can honestly say it was one of the greatest days I've ever had in my life. My wife and myself went down to watch Barry winning the World Championships, and we were very privileged to get in the dressing room afterwards. And after a brief chat, Barry threw his arms around me and he said, typical, only Barry could come out with this, he says, "Thank you very much for turning up to watch me fight. I know you must be very busy. Don't let me keep you back." Now, and he really meant it. This is one of the best ambassadors Ireland's ever had.
Thank you, Dennis Taylor. Take a rest. It's not quite the final bell. I know that the most special moments on the way to the world title were when your father used to sing this song in the ring.
But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, I love you so.
That's a fine voice. Like your dad, you are a dedicated family man, and your children are here this evening. Danica, Jake, and Blaine. And in the safe hands of good friend Olive Foe, the latest McGuigan shade.
Can I sit down?
Barry McGuigan, this is your life.
Thank you very much.